So 538's got an article up here about Texas, and they're totally reading the polls wrong. Um, there's the article there. Go ahead and read it if you want. It's in the description. Error's a point or two. You can throw that away. The red state shift is more substantial, but that's actually easy. Republicans are down in red states by about the same amount as Johnson is polling at them. Although you'll note that Stein is running at around 2% in the Northeast too, which is supposedly what the Democrats are down by. I'm not saying there aren't underlying trends that benefit the Democrats in Texas, and it's not clear that Johnson voters in red states will go back to the Republicans in the next cycle. Right? We've had things like that happen in Canada, where we have multi-parties. It could very well be the case that Johnson is pulling these voters away from Republicans, and they don't go back. But I don't think there's a whole lot to project into the future with any of this. There's a third party this year, guys, and it's showing up in the polling. That's it. So before you pull out all the best algorithms, let's take a moment to pause to see if the Democrats are actually trending up or not relative to 2012, or if the Republicans are just trending down. And I think you'll see that they broadly aren't, and in some cases may actually be trending down. So, what's the polling in Texas actually looking like? Have the Democrats actually improved their standing here in this red state? Is that what's happening? Is it the case that these swing states are about the same? And the reason that Clinton has a big lead is because she just has more votes in the red states? Well, in 2012, Romney got 57% in Texas, and Obama got 41%. According to the recent University of Houston poll, Trump is at 41, Clinton is at 38, Johnson's at 4, and then there's 17 that haven't decided, indicating that Clinton's actually down 3 points. So what is this about how Clinton's big lead is just because she's doing better in red states? Well, she's down 3 points in Texas. And it says here in this article that a full 1% of her lead is from Texas. But she's down in Texas. I wouldn't jump to an equal distribution of the undecided in Texas. I just leave that like it is, okay? It doesn't mean the Democrats are down once you do the distribution. But there's certainly no argument that they're ahead. And frankly, I'm a little skeptical about how he's presenting the data in these categories in the first place. It seems to me like what he's done there is he's looked at the relative margins instead of the absolute ones. Certainly, Trump and Clinton are a lot closer together there, right? It's only 3 points in the recent University of Houston poll, whereas it was 16 points in 2012. But that doesn't mean that Clinton's doing better. It just means that Trump's doing a lot worse. Romney beat Obama by 16 percentage points in 2012. There's 17% undecided. I put the Stein in the remaining. I think Stein was running at 1. Right? So there's 16% undecided. And Clinton's down. The shrink in the relative margin does not imply that Clinton is doing better in her absolute margin. And that's not an error that somebody like this should be making, okay? That's a rookie error. That's a bad error. That's you haven't had enough coffee error. That's that's nobody read this before it was published error, right? And we do this. All of us do this. We make dumb errors, and then we expect somebody to read them and point them out to us, because we get lost. And I've pointed this out a bunch of times here. What it looks to me is more like her national lead is based on large leads in more populous swingy states like Virginia and Colorado, right? And that it's not being offset by closer races in less populous states like Nevada and Iowa. I mean, if you look at that, it kind of looks like what he did was he took how much Clinton is ahead at in all the swing states and then weighted them equally and averaged them out. Well, that's not. I mean, not all the states aren't equal. That's another early morning coffee error. That's something that somebody reading it should have pointed out, right? She's way ahead in Virginia. She's way ahead in Colorado. She's way ahead in Pennsylvania. She's way ahead in Michigan, way ahead in Wisconsin. And she's winning in North Carolina. She's winning in Arizona. You want to tell me you can't explain her 8-point win based on the swing states? Instead, you're going to look at the red states that have these huge undecided margins in which it looks like she's actually down in. To be clear, if you average the swing states out, you'll get a smaller number, but she seems to have big leads in more populous swing states and small leads in less populous swing states. So an average is not the best way to measure that data. When she's up 12 points in Virginia, and she's tied in Iowa, well, what's the population of Virginia and what's the population of Iowa? Why are you averaging these? What are you thinking? I'll tell you what you're thinking. You're thinking that you want some more coffee. Further, the gap may seem to be relatively closer in red states, but the red state polling seems to be shifting Republicans to undecideds or to Johnson rather than to Democrats, who don't seem to actually be gaining any real ground in absolute terms. Is Clinton doing better in Georgia than Trump did? Sorry, than Obama did? She's not. But Trump's doing a lot worse than Romney did. Because there's lots of people that haven't decided, and there's lots of people voting for this third-party candidate. I'm going to consequently assign the national lead to big leads in specific swing states, which is demonstrable, and not to catching up in red states, which is actually, frankly, demonstrably false. And, I worked out, what I think Texas actually looks like. Trump's probably up by 3-4 points, and there's from what I can see, a big undecided chunk in Texas. So where's the movement? The movement is from Trump to Johnson and from Trump to undecided. Clinton is probably not running much higher than Obama is, or at least there's no evidence that she is. You're looking at a couple of points if she's lucky. So who are these undecideds? Are they undecided between Trump and Johnson, between Johnson and Clinton, between Trump and nobody? Or are they just refusing to admit that they're going to vote for Trump because he's an asshole and they're embarrassed? I think this is a good example of why I don't think you need demographic models to balance the polls, so much as you just have to read the polls right in the first place. And these are errors that are actually suspicious, because nobody has had that deficit of coffee in their system, okay? You would have to never drink coffee at all to do this. You would have to be awake for hours and still not have had coffee. It's implausible. It's very hard to imagine somebody that could have been awake for that long and had that little coffee.